I need to take a drink of water. Woo! BikeBlogger here, on my way to work. Topic of the day: internally routed cables. I hate them. And here's why. It can cause a lot of noise, especially in a frame that isn't designed properly. That is, put a little foam in it. Put something in it to dampen the vibrations. Let's go this way. So in my bicycle, there's no foam liner inside of the frame where the cable housing goes for the rear brake. And it's very annoying because no matter what I've tried, there's always been like some vibration, and with that comes rattling. And very loud rattling. It was in a couple of my earlier videos with this bike, the Eastway Emitter R1, and that's one of my complaints with this bike. It just has a rattling noise when you're routing that rear cable through the top tube of the frame. I'm gonna go over some ways in which you can try to prevent that. However, I will admit, none of these possible solutions worked for me. This way. So why would you route a cable even through a bicycle frame? Why don't you just have, you know, cable stops and route it externally like most bike frames? Well, it makes it look cleaner, and at the extreme end of it, when you're racing, it's a tiny bit more aerodynamic. So, you know, we're talking marginal gains. Otherwise, you know, it's mainly just aesthetic for all of us mortals. I don't know. I do not like internally routed cables. I just don't. It's harder to do it. There are kits you can get, like the IR2 from Park. I think that's what it's called, or IR 1.2 or something. We're going a different way to work, obviously. I gotta turn around here because I'm going the wrong way right now. Here we go. Turn ourselves around. We're gonna cut through the park on our way to work. And unlike the video last time, hopefully this time we don't get stopped by a train. Because last video there was a train and I couldn't go the way I wanted to go. Let's take the trail here. Ugh. So hopefully there's no rattling in this video. But I think it was Mean Streets of St. Louis or something like that, where I was riding this bike kind of for the first time, and I realized, oh my gracious, those cables really rattle inside of the frame. And like I said, it's just, I don't think there's anything I can do with this bike. It's just gonna rattle. So my solution to that actually works, Velcro. Yep, hook and loop tape. I just use some Velcro and wrap the cable housing to the exterior of the frame on the top tube. So it certainly doesn't look very pretty, and especially when you spend a lot of money on a bicycle, it's kind of annoying, you know? You spend a lot of money and you find out, oh, it just rattles and makes noises like crazy. And I've read that some high-end bikes just do that. And I think that's a shame, because I think that's just bad design all around. Yeah, so it should really be quiet. I mean, if you're spending thousands of dollars, you should not be getting something that sounds kind of rickety on the road. But anyway, so how do you solve this problem and still route your cables internally versus, you know, trying to use some zip ties or Velcro like me to just say screw it and route it externally, which is working fine for me, by the way. Well, I got 6 possible solutions for you. Number one is wrap some, you need to try to take up maybe the, you know, the problem is really the outside diameter of the cable housing is essentially too small. You need a thicker piece of housing, or you need to wrap it. I don't know if you, actually that's a good, I just realized maybe there's a thicker housing you can get that would fit better, but I think most of it's pretty standardized. It seems to be off by, you know, quite a bit, like a few millimeters in my bike frame. But like I said, you really need a dampening material. So number one, you could wrap the housing in something like tape. You know, take a bunch of, you know, it's not pretty, but take some electrical tape, wrap it around the outside of the housing, and then shove it through the frame, and hope it, you know, fills in the gap, and then you don't get noise from that. My guess is it might dampen it a little, but you're still gonna get quite a bit of probably, you know, noise, basically. But it may not be quite as loud, simply because, you know, the electrical tape is, you know, softer material, and it's got a little bit of a, I guess, a little bit of a dampening effect. Anyways, that's not a very great solution. But number two, you could put zip ties at the entry and exit points of where you're routing the housing through your frame. That might, you know, hold it in place so it doesn't move around, and maybe it prevents it from bouncing around. That kind of goes to how to properly design a bike for internally routed cables. Generally, you have kind of a cable guide within the frame that helps, you know, the midpoint of the cable from, you know, bouncing around, because that's probably really what's causing the rattling noise, not the entry and exit points. Those points are just important to keep water out and to just hold it taut so the cable isn't, you know, sliding back and forth around in there or whatever. So yeah, zip ties at the entry and exit points, that might do it for you. And that brings up another point. Internally routed cables, different frame manufacturers do it different ways. They have their own instructions on how to do it properly. Let's get over. So some go with some housing up until you reach the entry point, and then they want you to transition to bare cable and then run that through the frame. Specialized, I think, is one manufacturer that at least used to do it that way. So it can get a little complex because you got all these little pieces, you know, these grommets and stuff between, for instance, the entry and exit, to just keep the cable from, you know, moving around and stuff. But yeah, so that was number two. Zip ties or cable ties to hold it in place at the entry and exit ports of your frame. Let's see, number three, you could stuff some foam in the frame. I gotta get over it. You stuff some foam in the frame. Basically, again, to take up the gap. And that's probably, again, what you should have had in the frame in the first place. Like a little foam tube or something, a liner for which to sheathe the housing and keep it from bouncing around, as well as probably, like I said before, an internal cable guide. And again, with this bike frame, I think I got none of that. Again, I've tried all these solutions and it didn't work for me, so don't expect it to necessarily do wonders for you, but just trying to help a guy and gal out who has an internally routed bike frame and they're having these noise issues. So yeah, you could try stuffing some foam in the frame. What kind of foam? I don't know, any kind of foam. Anything that can kind of fit in there. Number 4, you could try some rubber O-rings. They're just basically, oh, what do you call those things? They're like donuts. I think they call them donuts. And stick those on your cable housing or your bare cable or something. Got to get the right size, of course. Can be a little trial and error figuring that out. You know, so slide those on there, push those into the frame, and give that a shot. Now I imagine it'd be a mess to get them back out of the frame, so take all these possible solutions with a grain of salt, because you might end up making it even harder if you ever need to, you know, install a new cable housing in your frame. I don't want to mess up people's bikes. These are really just possible solutions I'm throwing out there, and if a bike shop can't figure it out for you, well, I'm just giving you some other options. I would definitely take it to the bike shop you bought the bike from, or just see if any bike shop can figure it out for you first, because you don't want to mess up your bike frame, especially if you got a fancy bike. And I got some pinging in my wheel again. I'll have to look at that. The spoke tension probably isn't correct or something. So I think I'm gonna cross the highway here. I'm gonna go up and over. Woo! It's very warm. It's let's go like this. It is 95 Fahrenheit. Woo! And it's about upwards of 110 degrees Fahrenheit when you consider the humidity. It's quite a lot of humidity right now. Woo. And I need to take a drink of water. Woo. I'm also still recovering from hospital stay, so gotta take it easy. It was a few weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago or so, but I gotta take it easy. So, let's see which way now. Let's go straight here. I think it's a one-way street. Kinda. What is this? Not backed in all the way because they got a trailer. So let's see. So yeah, O-rings. That was possible solution number 4. You know, I'm just throwing ideas out there. You know, you need to try and dampen the vibrations, and ultimately just prevent vibrations in the first place. You know, very much limit it somehow, like with those zip ties I was talking about. We're going straight. We are on Shoto right now, heading kind of into the city. I do need to kind of turn around though, because I'm going away from work right now. But I'm having fun with you guys, and I'm making a video here. Let's see, number 5. Possible answer number 5 for your internally routed cable noises. Ew. You could sheath the housing with some surgical tubing. You could get that at a hardware store. Let's make a right. You could try doing that. What else? So yeah, that didn't work for me either. I'm gonna make a right here. I can sneak through here. Hang on a second, I'm already noticing a noise. Let's get over here with my bike. Let's see. What is that noise? That noise was my retaining nut for my inner tube. So yeah, I've had that come loose before. I did a video about that, like whether you even really need it. It can help keep the valve straight when you're pumping up the tire. Otherwise, you don't really need it. But I got it on my bike anyway. So that noise should be gone. And that guy just went by. Over there, that bike. That biker. Let's, this way. You got a really squeaky bike. I'm very particular about bike noises. I hate bike noises. Which is why we're doing this video. Because I know there's other people out there that are just like me. So you could try sheathing it with something like surgical tubing. And then number 6, the last one, you could try some heat shrink tape, which is kind of like tubing, and then you put a little heat by it, and it will shrink and basically encapsulate the. Where am I? I actually don't really know where I am. I think this is Manchester Avenue. I think this is the Grove district. I think I want to make a right. See, if we make a left, it's not one way. Let's make a left here. So yeah, heat shrink tubing, you could give that a shot. Same sort of concept as the surgical tubing. You know, you're just trying to take up the slack. Pretty much. So we're trying to get to essentially I'm going south now. I'm trying to get to Arsenal. It's a street. We're on Newstead right now. I'm pretty sure we're heading south. This isn't my neighborhood. We're in the city of St. Louis, Missouri, USA. And they're building a bunch of houses over there to the right. Let's stop for a second here. Yeah, they're building a bunch of stuff over there. Okay, to my left is a do not enter, so we'll go straight. Coming up on Vandevender, I think it's a road straight ahead, but I need to get up to it because it's elevated over some train tracks. So we need to make a left here on Hunt and head east. And we'll go past Tower Grove Park, I think, in the city here. So yeah, those are my 6 solutions for you. Again, you know, electrical tape, zip ties, O-rings, surgical tubing, heat shrink, and especially foam. You can just sort of wedge some foam inside your frame. I wouldn't recommend doing expanding foam, because over time, hence the name, I believe, with heat, that can expand, and you could actually mess up your bike frame, and you don't want to be doing that. Well, we didn't quite make that one. We might make a right here, go down the hill, and then make a left and double back. Just so I don't have to wait for the light. Alright, we're on Vandevender now. Woo! It is warm. Bottle. It is warm out here. Woo. much traffic. I was gonna get in the left lane and take a turn around. This is okay, this will get us where we wanna go. We're gonna cross under 44 at Van de Vender, which is what we're on now. So if any of these solutions work for you, do let me know, because I'd like to know. Alright, let's make a right. That's the Monsanto Center to my left. I don't know what sort of evil experiments they do in there, but oh, Monsanto, Roundup, Agent Orange, genetic engineering, all that creepy stuff. Yeah, Monsanto was recently bought out by Bayer. Let's make a right here. I don't know whose parking lot this is, maybe it belongs to Monsanto. But Monsanto was bought out by Bayer. They are a pharmaceutical company based in Germany. And I don't think they're any less evil than Monsanto, so. I mean, I'm sure the companies do good things, but let's make a left. We're just turning around. We'll just go this way. It is a shame though, because Monsanto was actually the maiden name of the guy who founded Monsanto, John Queenie or something, named after Queenie Park or something like that. Let's make a right. Let's go this way. Alright, we figured out a way to get to the park. We'll go this way. Okay. And yeah, a lot of companies headquartered in St. Louis have left St. Louis really in just the last 10 years. I'm no fan of corporations, so let's see. What's this guy doing? Just stopping in the middle of the street. Annoying. I once had somebody, I think it was a moving truck in, where was that? Was it Chicago or, I don't remember the city. Might have been Dallas or somewhere. And it was just blocking the whole street. And, you know, what are you to do though, you know, when the street's really tight and you gotta move? I mean, you can't park the moving truck anywhere. What do you do? Park in the middle of the street? I don't know. Ambulances and fire trucks gotta get through. So, it is illegal. And it's very annoying. So I remember that and had to turn around and go the wrong way down the street because the one-way street was blocked off by a moving truck. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Tell them to move! So we are, forgive me, I do not know exactly what neighborhood I'm in right now. I don't believe this is called the Shaw neighborhood, because that is east of Shaw's Garden, also known as the Missouri Botanical Garden, which, by the way, gets some decent donations from Monsanto. So I don't know how the garden is going to be affected now that, I guess we can go straight here. Now that Monsanto is moving its headquarters, or well, its headquarters is in Germany. They say they're going to keep the, I don't know, the seeds or soybean headquarters here in the United States in St. Louis. But we'll just have to see how that shakes out. But the name Monsanto, I believe, will be gone come this August or so. There's a lot of stigma associated with that, and especially the proponents of GMO labeling, genetically modified organisms. In other words, kind of related to organic farming and using no pesticides. People like to know what stuff has been tinkered with on the genetic level, because there's not really a lot of knowledge about what that does to you. And I think there's always lawsuits going on about Roundup, which is a pesticide, I believe, about what it does to the human body and if it's a carcinogen, which would be a big deal for Monsanto. Now that's the garden straight ahead, the Shaw's Garden, Missouri Botanical Garden. So we're gonna cut through another park up here, Tower Grove Park, on our way to work, and it's getting a little late, and I've got to get to work here. Since I only really do one of these videos a week at the moment, I want to make sure that you guys have enough to keep you busy for a week. This is Magnolia. We're on the north side of Tower Grove Park, so we'll just cut through here into the park. And then Arsenal is the southern street. It's on the southern border of the park, and that's what we're trying to get to right now. Back on the topic of internally routed cables, what do you prefer? Do you prefer internally routed cables? What's your bike brand? What's your bike model and year? And do you have noises or not in your bicycle with the internally routed cables? You know, you just bounce your bike, basically lift it up and drop it, you know, from a few inches or a few centimeters or whatever, and just see if you can hear some rattling. It might be something other than the cables inside if you got other stuff bouncing around, but this is the worst though. See, this bicycle has internally routed electronic shifting wires, which are Di2, Shimano Di2, and they made a lot of noise, but you just put some zip ties on them every so many inches, and it just kind of the zip tie tails, they spring out and keep it kind of centered inside, you know, for instance, the down tube. So, and because the wires are so lightweight, they just don't make any noise, unlike a housing or you know, regular brake cables. Because that's my only problem I've had with this bike, are the brake cables bouncing in the top tube, and really just the rear, because the front cable, you know, is not going to be a problem, because the front cable it just goes straight to the brake, which would be kind of cool if there were ever a wireless braking. Obviously there's a there's a big safety issue there, because if your battery goes dead, you can't brake. So that would be, you would have to have, I would think, some sort of a third brake. You know, you would want at least a mechanical front brake, I would think. But if they could do an electronic rear brake, I honestly don't see a big safety issue with that. And it would take away the whole problem of routing cables, you know, to the back. So what? Yeah, somebody figure that one out and give me credit for it. Post a link to this video. I'm sure someone's thought about it before, but there's a lot of legal issues there. They don't want to get sued for someone getting hurt because maybe they don't have a front brake, or their front brake fails and they forgot to, you know, fill up the battery for the rear brake, which is why you would have a third brake. But now we're over-engineering the bike, right? Oh, they just keep coming. Nobody's coming that way, but there's somebody coming that way. I want to go straight. That's my goal today. We basically left the park, and we're at Kings Highway in Tower Grove Park right now. I don't know if I'm gonna get a break. I'm gonna have to do like go up that way, make a U-turn, and come back. One more guy. Here we go. The advantages of living not in a very big city. Well, you can eventually get a nice big gap and get across safely without a, you know, a traffic light. So I think we're on Rebar Avenue or something like that, heading toward Arsenal is actually one street over from here. And what I really just want to do is kind of weave my way around this neighborhood, heading west as I am now, back into the county, which is where I work, in Maplewood, Missouri. So that's what's going on now. This is going to be a long video, so we'll call this what I call extended commute. This is not my regular bike commute. You know, this is longer than usual, but it's kind of nice to, you know, get a little more exercise. Just make sure you wear that sunscreen in the summer and even in the winter, really. And let's go up to Arsenal here. And make sure you bring a water with you. Extremely important, especially in this heat when it's like 100 degrees outside. Whew. Oh my. All right. Let's cut through the parking lot because we can. Oh. This is a Snook's parking lot. They are a grocery store in St. Louis, a grocery chain. We used to have Kroger, but I think Snook's just paid him a bunch of money to leave the market back in the 60s or 70s, and so now we're basically just left with Snook's, Dierberg's, and Shop and Save. That's another one. Bicyclist. Here we go. And there are other stores. There's Lucky's Market, Whole Foods, some more boutique stores. But these are the main chains. Aldi is a big one. I love Aldi. It's kind of like a bit oversized convenience store. They don't have a lot of options, but they have a lot of dairy-free stuff, you know, something a vegan could eat. So I love them for that. Let's make a right. Just kind of, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going in circles. I kind of want to go north though, or which way I'm going? I'm going east actually. So north is that way. Let's make a left here. On Odell. So yeah, there's a Shop and Save, which is a grocery store near my workplace that recently closed. I believe they're owned by a company, Super Value or something, and they're closed. I think they're going to be closing all the Shop and Saves, which, and they're going to want to sell, you know, they're going to want a payday. All the executives are going to want their golden parachutes, so to speak. Problem is, the only people who'd be interested in buying probably would be Schnucks or Dierberg's, the other grocer. And I don't know if they'd even really want their assets, because honestly, they got so many stores now. If there's too much overlap, these cars don't stop going the cross street here. I'm supposed to stop though. Okay. There we go. So yeah, I mean, if there's not a lot of potential for synergies, which is basically laying people off of work, and then, you know, giving some other people more hours, I guess, or something. If there's not really a lot of potential for savings, why would you buy it? Unless you were aggressively trying to, you know, beat the other guy, which is what they do all the time, but I don't know. Let's see. This might be sublet or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it. Park to my left here now. And I think this road is sublet, so let's make a left up here. So we need to keep going westbound. And I believe we're going southbound now, so let's go left here. On the rebar. Oh, I guess I should have, not rebar, it's rebur. I guess I could have just stayed on rebur the whole way. Oops. Oops. Alrighty. I think we want to go, oh, this is southwest. Let's go straight. It's kind of a tight street. Let's make a left up here if we can. Need some shade. I know I'm not going down a one-way street because the no parking signs are pointing toward me. That guy's just parked kind of, the truck there is parked facing the wrong way. Whew. Back to southwest. Should have just got on southwest. Let's get on southwest now. Okay. Southwest will get me to work. It'll take me all the way to work. Whew. Just might not have a lot of shade. Whew. Are you sweating yet, BikeBlogger? Oh yeah, I'm sweating. Woo! Wee. Da, 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 da. Yeah, that pretty much covers the topic. I hope I'm not forgetting anything. If you have any other suggestions, do let us all know on how to deal with rattling internally routed cables. I honestly wanted to do this video like last year, you know, or sometime long ago, so I'm just doing it now. I was just really trying to figure out the answer, and BikeBlogger couldn't figure it out. You know? Velcro, that's my answer. This is Hampton Avenue. We're just gonna keep going straight till we get to work, pretty much. Amigo Joe's, Mexican restaurant. There's some good quote-unquote Mexican food that's vegan, but you gotta avoid all the meat and cheese, which is in a lot of Mexican food. Yeah, I know what I need. I need a thermostat on my bike, so I can not just tell you the speed I'm going, or the time, or the distance, but the temperature. Dang it. I'm trying to take my time, but left. Watch everybody. Yeah, so what I was gonna say is I'm trying to take my time, but there's all these stoplights in a, in series in a row here, and I was getting a little concerned. If I go a little too slow, I might not make it, and I'm gonna have to stand in the sun again. Oh. It's all good. We're going at a brisk 17.6 miles per hour. I'm in my low gear. I got 3 gears on this bike because I really just don't need any more. Don't need to fuss with anymore. Okay. Interesting, what I like to call a Starfish Intersection. It's like a 5-way intersection. Kind of interesting. Oh yeah, Columbia. Actually, I'm not taking Southwest. I need to make a left onto Columbia. I think, right? I think so. Or maybe I should have stayed on Southwest. No, I think I want Columbia. So yeah. But then it's confusing because this road called Columbia, I think, keeps going straight into that, there's a neighborhood straight ahead, but just to the left, kind of continuing on here, it turns back in the southwest again. That's kind of confusing. Kind of conversion. Let's do one lap in this neighborhood I was speaking of. I think this is it. Clifton Heights. I think that's where we're going now. Maybe. Maybe not. I'm a little turned around. No, this isn't Clifton Heights. Clifton Heights has a like a little lake at the center of the oh my gosh, this is a steep hill. At the center of the neighborhood. Hey boy, here we go. Going downhill. Nice and easy. Bennett. Make a left on Bennett. Didn't really want to go this way. Oh man, really? Hang on a second. I think the little retaining nut is loose again on my front wheel. What's up with that? I hope my tire doesn't seem to be losing air. I don't know why that is. Just didn't tighten it on enough, I guess. It's just getting knocked around. I went over some pretty big bumps. I really don't want a flat tire. Man, I really don't want a flat tire right now. I can tell you what, I'd definitely be getting in the shade to change my tire if I had a flat tire. There's no way I'm sitting out in this heat. So what's the deal? Let's make a right here. I think I just missed it, or maybe if I had made a right when I went into that little neighborhood, that would have taken me to the little pond. Oh well. I'm on the correct road now and I'm heading to work, so that's all that really matters to me, because we gotta get to work here. Whew. Dun, 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 dun. Under Highway 44, Interstate 44, I should say. Alright, let's just wait for one more guy. Problem with motorists who get off the highway is they got a large sense of what is that, relative acceleration, or whatever they call it in physics class. You know, they feel like they're not going very fast, and they get really anxious. Some people do, at least. And it's like, I gotta go faster. I was just going 60. I'm going 40, and I feel like I'm a slug. You know, and they can get kind of you know, a little bit of road rage in them. But all is well. We're on Southwest, or Columbia, or whatever you want to call it. We're on Southwest now. Almost to work. Almost to work. So I hope you enjoyed this bike commute to work. I don't usually go this way. extending my bicycle commute. Get to see new things. Some, you know, pretty looking scenery. Something just different. I missed my left turn signal. I wanted to go left. I guess we can go straight. Let's see. There. Just time it right so I don't have to completely stop. Alright. This is the intersection of McCausland and Southwest, I believe. Well, thanks again for watching, fellas and ladies. Love the ladies. Anyway, I should stop now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Gold medal for you.